What is the deal, beautiful people? My name is Ramon, and this is the Microsoft Surface 3 review. So before we dive into the device, it's important to know that Microsoft is absolutely standing behind this product line. This is the third iteration of something that was supposed to really pioneer their vision for Windows 8, and they sort of took it into their own hands to design an elegant device, if not to just make sure Windows 8 was treated with the respect it should have been from a hardware standpoint, just to show OEMs that they could do better. They didn't have to make these ugly, bland tablets. They just sort of made sure there was a premium representation for the Microsoft Windows 8 brand, which is a good thing. So here we are coming in. I'm gonna truthfully say we're 0-2 right now, meaning the Surface 1 and the Surface 2 were not a hit. Although everyone loved the specs and the Microsoft fans really loved the vision, the Surface 1 and 2, specifically the Pro lines, they were a little chunky, and they didn't really sell that hybrid form factor too well, although they could suffice, but not a lot of people jumped in. So this time around, what did they do different? Well, as you can see from the design, it's super thin, especially when you take into account this is a full PC here. This is an Ultrabook crammed into the form factor of a tablet. Not only is this thing super thin, I mean, like, it's slightly thicker than the Surface 1 and Surface 2 RT, which were ARM tablets, so they didn't require, a fan and a lot of craziness to work. So those devices were crazy thin. We're talking iPad thin. Here, it's almost that thin, which is astounding that Microsoft was able to pull that off. It's nice to see Microsoft with this type of aggressive innovation where they really took the first two and said, those are too thick, those are too big, those are bricks. We gotta make that smaller, thinner, lighter, faster. And it's interesting, anything from an i3 to an i7, how do you make it this thin? So there's some videos out there, and they did it on a presentation as well when they revealed it, of they made the smallest, thinnest fan ever. Well, not smallest, but the thinnest fan ever in an iDevice. And the way they port the heat and dissipate the heat. There's actually vents all the way around it. And it's such a magnificent device to use, because the more you use it, you just say to yourself, like, how is this thing working? I did notice it gets a little warm when you're cranking away at things, but never hot. And then on top of that, it only weighs like 1.7 pounds. Whoa, that's a big deal, and it doesn't get much heavier with the keyboard attachment that you can buy, and you will want, by the way. More on that later. So it is really surprising to see that Microsoft went the Apple route. Like, there's some actual pride to be had here in the design of this thing and the innovation of architecture. And it's one of those things where I almost never thought we would see this from Microsoft. We know they could design, but it takes a special team, a special initiative to really get up on stage and talk about how you arrived at the design architecture that you're using to solve a problem, which is thinner, lighter, and faster, and none of the compromise. Like that's so awesome. I really like what they did here with the design. There's also some interesting design choices that sort of reversed everything we saw in the first two iterations. So instead of the 16:9 aspect ratio that Windows fans are used to, now you get a standard 3:2 aspect ratio, which is more along the lines of, let's say, an iPad. So when you hold it in portrait mode, it doesn't feel super long and awkward, which is not a bad thing. But on top of that, they went ahead and made it substantially larger on the screen size. So this thing gets a 12-inch screen, and with that 12-inch screen, you get a 1260 by 1440 resolution, and that's not bad. That's actually pretty good. So along the lines of resolution, and let's talk power, let's talk specs. What I really admire was how Microsoft was able to tear this thing out. And by tears, I mean there's one literally for every type of performance you're looking, and most importantly, every price point. You start off with an i3, in the middle you get your i5, and for the balls to the wall you get your i7 processor. And with those configurations you can get either 4 or 8 gigs of RAM, and you can also get 256 gigs of storage or 512 gigabytes of storage, SFDs of course. Now those are pretty standard Ultrabook specs. So it's great to see that not only did they slim the device down, they lightened it up, they brought it into a respectable 3:2 aspect ratio, but they really spec'd it out like it's supposed to, like you think an Ultrabook or a laptop would be, which is the correct thing to do when you're trying to sell someone a hybrid device like a Surface 3, right? Microsoft's thing is, this is the tablet that can replace your laptop. Microsoft also did a good amount of work around the stylus. It's not as technical as the Wacom drivers that you were used to on the Surface Pro 1 and 2, but you've still got 256 levels of pressure, which is not bad. They've also gone ahead and pretty much, according to them, virtually reduced the parallax effect, which is it's sort of a weird thing to explain. Anyone that's ever used a Nintendo DS or even a Palm Pilot back in the day, when you draw on the screen, you know what? When you sign your name at the store, the pharmacy, wherever you go, you swipe your card and you sign the digital pad as a signature, you notice like there's a lag. So where you're drawing doesn't always show up on the screen. So Microsoft's managed to get that to pretty much a one-to-one response, which is a big deal for the artists out there, the artsy type, the creatives. That's something that they can really appreciate. And I can honestly say I've done a fair bit of research, and it's something that isn't around in tablets today. It's very hard to do, so kudos to them for that. So then of course you get the keyboard, and I want to point out the keyboard is $140 extra, and I really feel like this thing should be included with the package, especially when Microsoft is selling this lapability thing. So what is lapability? When you try to mimic a laptop, right? People use laptops in their laps. Hence the name. The first Surfaces, the 1 and 2, the angles on the kickstands. The second one allowed for a little more ease of use in the lap, but it was still clumsy. Now Microsoft is aggressively going after that use case, I guess you could say, where you can actually use this thing in your lap. I've tried it. It still wasn't as comfortable as a laptop, but it's getting better. So the hinges are a lot more sturdy. The keyboard, it feels less flimsy. It also has this adjustable angle where it snaps up to the frame and creates like a wedge, so you can type on an angle per se, which is actually pretty comfortable. I like it. I dig it. The trackpad on the keyboard is actually a lot bigger, a lot more accurate, I noticed. It was really annoying with the first two, the type pad and the touchpad. So they've made some improvements there. Although I think there still is a lot, like, bring us the kick-ass keyboard for $130. Would I would pay $130 for an optional keyboard that was backlit and had a battery in it, so I can get even more power. But I feel like the default type cover should be included in the package, especially if you're spending this type of money. It was good to see them improve. The improvements are well warranted. I just want to see the keyboard included in the price. So when it's all said and done, when you zoom out, you look at the Surface 3, what is it about? Okay, who is it for? Okay, is it going to change the world? Well, I want to talk about the price, because when you're talking to consumers, very little matters most than the price. And Microsoft did a good job at making some very attractive and affordable options. So with an i3, this thing starts from 64 gigs, and I correct myself earlier, I said 256, but the i3 64 gig model will start at $800. Does not include the keyboard, okay, but that's a hell of a price for something of this sort. It's a really good price for a laptop, those of you looking to get one. And again, the caveat here is that keyboard. So now you're looking at $930, which still isn't bad. It puts it on par with a lot of the Ultrabooks in its class. And then it goes all the way up to $2,000. And for $2,000, of course, you get the 8 gigs of RAM, you get the 512 storage, the SSD, and you get that i7. That's astounding. that's on point. I mean, if you were to look at its closest competitor in the premium brand, I would say that's a MacBook Air. And Microsoft even went as far to compare it to a MacBook Pro. And I think they're pushing it a little bit, but you know, it falls in that realm. So this thing is very aggressively priced, and it can appeal to a wide audience. Now, where I think it sort of becomes a sticking point for some people is, do you need something as sturdy as a laptop? I get it, they try to sell the whole lapability thing, but it's still not there yet. Not until they remove the snap and just make the thing with the keyboard on it, like, but then that wouldn't be a tablet. You get what I mean? So I don't know, it's still kind of weird. For people out there who are starting to move away from the laptop form factor, but you still want the versatility, yeah, I think the Surface 3 is a really dope idea. It's a dope product. My favorite thing about the Surface 3, without doubt, is this is the product Windows 8 needed. We've had a good bit of Windows 8 laptops, tablets. The previous Surfaces were really nice. I enjoyed the RT model, even though I'll never go back after my Venue Pro 8. But this is the product to sort of raise the awareness that Windows 8 is a solid operating system, and really sort of take that stigma away that it's hard to use. This is the perfect device to do that, and I think it will succeed. It may not sell hundreds of millions, but people out there know, and it's a consideration. It's a topic. You know, it's beautiful. It performs well. I think this is what Windows 8 needed. Me personally, I need the mini version of this. I really, really need the mini version of this. I've tried to justify this. I've got a laptop, older ThinkPad, but it still works fine. I got Windows 8 running it. I have no desire to touch the screen, but like, for me, an 8-inch tablet is it now, and I feel like if they would give me the exact same offering as this Surface 3 with an 8-inch form factor, I'll be all over it. But yeah, my name is Ramon. I hope you guys enjoyed the review. Leave your comments below. I want to know who's getting it and why you're getting it and how you're using it. I know we got a few students on the channel that really were express their excitement toward the product. Did you guys get it? How is it? You love it? Like, comment, subscribe. I'm out of here. Peace. What's up, beautiful people? It's your boy Ramon. Quick reminder, check out the website, man. Oh, we've got so much content over there for you. Fashion, technology, cars, everything auto, entertainment, tons of new music. Every week we drop new content. And of course you've got the editorials, whatever's trending. Hey, lifestylesdefined.com. Make sure you check that out. And while you're at it, don't forget about Ignorant Gamers, everything gaming. That's how big gaming was to us. We just had to separate it. So you got your PlayStation, you got your Xbox, your PC, and even something in there for you Nintendo people. Tons of reviews, tons of gameplay, articles, blogs. Check us out, ignorantgamers.com, lifestylesdefined.com. I'm out of here. Peace.